So it was in the aftermath of the most recent blizzard, not the one in October, not the things in December, but the January one where all the wind was blowing. That on that Saturday afternoon, even as the wind was still blowing, I knew that I needed to get out and start working on the driveway. And I live at the top of the hill, and it sort of faces north, and that wind was coming in at the angle, and my neighbor's property is right there, and his driveway is right there, so I only had one choice about where to try to put that snow, and it was into the wind. And it was cold. I got out the bibs that I haven't had since I was a lot lighter. I couldn't zip them, and my wife was mocking me. And I put on my heaviest coat, and I went out to begin to try to clean the driveway. And after about 30 seconds, I went back inside because I took my glasses off, and I said, my cheeks are exposed. I need to take off this hat and cinch that hood down and pull those drawstrings out. And then I got a scarf. Now, I had tried to wear a scarf back in one of the December blizzards. And I tried to put it inside and tuck it in neatly, just the way my mom used to, when I was sending out to go sledding. But again, the collar was a little tight, so I knew that that wasn't going to work. So I wrapped this thing around the outside, and by the time I was going back out, I had a little slit that I could look through, and that snow would get blown up and come back at me. But what you know, when you live in North Dakota, is that when you are properly attired, I was not uncomfortable outside. I had the right boots, the right leg wear, the right coat. I had my wool stocking mittens inside, or gloves inside of the mittens, and I had this little slit that I could see the world through. I was completely wrapped up in warm toastiness, even as it was blowing and miserable outside. I knew it was cold and miserable because eventually icicles started forming from the brim of my cap, and my vision was a little bit obscured. What we wear and how we wear it can help shape our identity. It can make a statement about who we are. It can give us comfort. It can give us a part of our personality. It's part of our appearance. It gives us a sense of where we belong. My younger brother in high school played the role of the rebel. And I distinctly remember the day that he came down for church, and he had buttoned up his shirt, and he got downstairs, and we were getting ready to go, and said, oh, this isn't the way I want it, because they all lined up. So he unbuttoned his whole shirt and then went off one, so that the collar button was one high and the shirt bottom was just off. We knew that this was just the way he was, and it really didn't make a whole lot of difference to try to correct this part of his appearance. But we know that how we wear what we wear says something about where we are in life and how we belong and how we are gathered together. Jesus got into a boat and he crossed the lake, the Sea of Galilee, to the other side, to another people. He just crossed this body of water and got out of the boat, and people there had heard of Jesus, but the first one that he met was an individual that lived in that country that was possessed by something demonic. These demons were in him, and he was beyond the group of people that he lived with. He was out in the country, he was in the cemeteries, he was not welcome in town. It turns out that this was a fairly short visit of Jesus across to the other side of the lake, to this area of the Decapolis, these 10 cities that are on the other side and in that region. But whether this visit was just for a morning or for a day or for a week or longer, we don't have a sense of exactly how long it was, but Jesus arrived, he encountered this person, and then they invited Jesus to leave. And this encounter is so vivid. This demon having a conversation with Jesus. Don't banish us from the country, just send us into the pigs. And Jesus said, okay, go into the pigs. Then the pigs ran down the hill and drowned themselves. But it's this person that I'm most interested in today. And there's this one line that I find fascinating that's drawn my attention. And it's that line where the townspeople begin to come out and they see the man who had been possessed by the demon sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And it's that phrase, clothed, that I've picked up on. Because for somebody who was able to rip the chains that were meant to restrain him, this person was probably in tatters, didn't have a shirt, didn't have a way to be covered, and yet when the people came to meet him, when he was in Jesus' presence, he was clothed and in his right mind. What a wonderful image. It raises the question a little bit, well, where did he get the clothes? There wasn't a local Walmart to run out and get something. But you imagine that one of the people who had crossed with Jesus had given him something that they were wearing. Literally the shirt or the tunic off of their back. That this man was provided for, and in the presence of Jesus, he was clothed. It is Jesus who clothes us with love. What's it like to be clothed with the love of Jesus? It gives us a sense of peace in the world. For that man sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind, all was well. Maybe for the first time in years, he was fully present with himself and with those around him. There was a sense of peace in his life. There was a sense of cleanliness. To be clothed in Jesus is to be washed fully. In this year of baptismal celebration, we are celebrating the gift of baptism, and it's a wonderful thing that later today in this service we have a baptism, and that symbolizing of washing is a part of our service, and it provides security. If you were going to be in trouble, where else would you rather sit than at the feet of Jesus? This person knew and experienced what we all long for. And now there's a little bit of shift in the story, because the story that we read in the Bible today has nothing to do with baptism as far as we can tell, but it has to do with that being clothed. With being clothed and at peace and clean and sitting in the security of Jesus. So Audrey, good morning. What are you wearing today? Could I get you to stand up and turn around? Let's see what we've got on Audrey today. Does this look similar to other things that you know that happen at baptisms? This little white robe, how many people have a family heirloom or a gown that's been passed down or that multiple brothers or sisters have worn at baptisms? This is something that we know and lift up. Boys and girls, all of these things, we get dressed in white and we are brought to the font and clothed. I looked up my baptismal date. I've known for years that I've been baptized in January, and I found my baby book, and I opened it up this week, and January 10th, 1970, in Milwaukee. I don't have a picture. I can probably go find one, but I'm sure that I looked very similar, maybe without the bow. It's very clean. It's special. And we know that this is a traditional formality that we live and celebrate. When we have our teenagers come for confirmation, what do they get to wear? A white gown as they affirm their baptism. As again, they are clothed with white and sit in the love of Jesus. And are washed again and hear those words, "You are my beloved child." We know that at baptisms and at confirmation and for adult baptisms, we don't have many of those, but in the church, one of the traditions for adult baptisms is to have a white alb or stole or white alb or garment that the adults would wear at baptism as well, to have that image of being clothed in the love and peace of Jesus. But we know that this doesn't last just throughout our life. And even on the day of our death, we are wrapped and dressed and clothed in that same garment. One of the traditions of the church that we lift up this year is to have a funeral garment, a pall that is draped over the casket. That is a connection between our baptismal garments and our confirmation garments, to remind us of being washed in the waters and being made clean, of living in the love of Jesus. So that person who Jesus met in the shores of the Gerasenes country, that person was clothed with the love of Jesus. And he put on those clothes and wore them for the rest of his life. He wanted to go with Jesus, but Jesus said, that's not your place right now. Go to your friends. Go to your home. Tell them what Jesus has done for you. Tell them how that Jesus has clothed you with love. This is what we're called to as a people of faith, as a people of God. To be washed in the water, to be made clean, to be dressed in that way that God shows that God loves us, and we receive that. And so as Audrey comes up, and baptism is as administered by Pastor Lucas in just a few moments, we have that symbolism, that white garment, as our confirmation students to continue to prepare for this spring and affirming their faith. And as we continue to have funerals as a community of faith, we continue to wrap ourselves in the love of Jesus. Jesus is the one who clothes us with love and provides warmth and comfort and an appearance that makes us different in the world. It equips us to say that this is a statement of our identity. We belong to Christ, in whom we are baptized. Jesus is the one who clothes us with love and promises to never leave our side. It worked for the person who had the demons who were cast out, and it works for us as well. Thanks be to God. I invite you to stand as you are able and join in singing our hymn this day, Rock of Ages, Cleft for Me, number 623.